Well, I'm so excited to see the many faces of Math Circle community members from across the country. I miss getting the chance to see some of you that we would have possibly gotten to see over the summer. And I'm so glad that you're going to be able to take and join us today. So it is wonderful to see you. For those of you that don't know, my name is Dr. Brandy Leegers. I work at Central Washington University. But the reason that you might know about me is that I am the co-chief editor of the Journal of Math Circles. Like that just left my head. I'm sorry, Emily. A program that, a publication that Emily Hancock and I co-created. And I also was previously involved in the National Association of Math Circles. So that might be how that you know me. And we are very grateful that Julia Robinson has agreed to partner with us today to be able to put together this particular online virtual panel, and that so many of you heard about this event and were able to take and join us. We do want to start off by noting that we are going to take and record this particular session. We're doing that because we want to make sure that others that weren't able to take and join us right now are still able to take and enjoy the wonderful presentations we're hearing from our speakers. And we have other ways that we're hoping to share that we'll talk about at the end. For right now, I am very excited that we have 5 presenters that are going to be taking and joining us today. And so we're going to be able to take and hear from Ann M. Ho, who's going to be talking about the Appalachian Math Teacher Circle and Team TC. Gord Hamilton, that's going to take and talk about Math Pickle. Javier Ronquillo and Ramya Ramaswamy from the Bridge to Enter Advanced Mathematics, or BEAM. And Sloan Despero from the North Carolina Network of Math Teacher Circle and NCN-MTC. Okay, so to get us started, we have our first presenter for today. And now, of course, the slides don't work because that would be helpful. Just a second. So our first presenter for today is going to be Ann Ho. Ann is going to take and talk to us about her experience balancing the familiar with the unknown. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we find ourselves inundated with thoughts about the new normal as we consider virtual and socially distanced events. However, incorporating familiar components alongside new technology and formats is a critical factor in participant engagement. So Anne is going to talk to us about basic elements of user experience designed as a framework and discussing specific successes related to her Math Teacher Circles events. So Anne, are you able to take and share your screen?
Yes, I think so. Let me go ahead and switch over. Oh, I think, there we go. We just have to switch. All right, can everyone see my screen? Great, good to see all of you. I hope you're all doing well right now in this crazy year that we have. I hope that you're all taking care right now. Let me start with a brief introduction. I'm currently a member of the Tennessee Eastern and Appalachian Math Teacher Circle, which is a new math teacher circle, and we tried to launch at, well, exactly the wrong year. Previous to this, I was at the Coastal Carolina University Math Teacher Circle in South Carolina. So if you've ever seen my name attached to anything, it was probably through that. I'm currently a member of the math department at the University of Tennessee as well. So I'll briefly talk about some experiences about that. So let's back up for a moment. I'm talking about UX design as a framework, but disclaimer, I'm not a UX expert. It's just something I happen to be interested in. And this was motivated from my very first online teaching experience. So a few years ago, I was asked to teach my first online course. And this is my perspective versus my students' perspectives. So I was really excited to be teaching online for the first time in a synchronous format. And from my perspective, I thought it was great that Zoom had these breakout rooms. I could move students in and out of breakout rooms. I could assign them in a certain way. I thought it was fantastic as a tool. I thought that I had slides with awesome, challenging math problems. There were collaboration tools that my students could use. And generally, I just saw lots of opportunities to learn with technology. Unfortunately, being an inexperienced online facilitator at the time, my students thought that the placement in the breakout room was a little disruptive. They weren't used to, most of them were used to in-person classes, so they were not used to suddenly being shoved into a space without much notification. They also realized very quickly that I had my slides up, but when they were in breakout rooms, they could no longer see the problems. I quickly learned from that mistake as well. And lastly, they were just generally confused and frustrated that very first time. So what I realized from this poor teaching experience online is that I really needed to consider the difference between my view versus their view more than ever in an online space, because what I normally took for granted, what I saw, what I heard, was just different from what they saw, what they heard, and so on. So today I'm going to talk about 3 principles from user experience design. This is based on the work of Don Norman, who was the originator and the first one who coined the term UX design. If you're curious, I'm happy to share my slides later, and you can watch a short video where he explains these. So the first principle I'll be talking about is being human-centered. The second one is to consider all the people. And the third one is to think of the entire system. So let's go through one by one. The very first one is to think about the human interaction with the technology and to try to choose tools that have some level of familiarity. So I know we only have so many views, so you probably see my slides, but I can see all of you with my setup right now. So either use Zoom's hand raising feature, or you can raise your actual physical hand if your camera's up. How many of you have heard, hey, you're muted at the beginning of a meeting this year? Lots of us, right? Almost everyone who has their video on has raised their hand, I think, almost everyone. So all of our original assumptions about being in an in-person physical space, those assumptions just are different now. So sometimes things that we take for granted just aren't true. So something I've learned is that I need to consider what our participants see. Do they have to switch windows? What if they're using a smartphone or a tablet instead of a computer? I believe Sloan Despo will talk more about our summer workshop later for the Math Teacher Circle Network. But one thing we realized early on was that there were more participants than we originally anticipated who logged in using smartphones. And we just did not anticipate that at the beginning. If any of you have tried using Zoom on a phone versus a tablet versus a computer, you'll realize the menus are in different places. And sometimes some things are hard to find. You have to, on a phone, switch windows to get to the chat, for instance. Another example, so recently I facilitated Prejudice Polygons version 2.0 for the Math Teacher Circle Network. And I was thinking about tools that we could use that people had at home. And I decided that just being able to present with some way that people could draw things on paper would be the easiest way to ensure that everyone could participate. In addition, over the summer, our Tennessee Eastern and Appalachian Math Teacher Circle, we decided that although SET was very familiar, we wanted to provide a tool for everyone to use virtually, since that was our first synchronous online session. So we looked for the website Set with Friends, and we realized that, well, some of our participants are colorblind, and actually the default colors are not great if you're colorblind. There's red and green at exactly the tones that you can't tell the difference. So we made sure that on Set with Friends, we were able to change the colors for our participants over the summer. Overall, of course, we want to play with technology in this age where we're moving everything online. But it's really helpful to incorporate some elements of familiarity, whether it is based off what the participants are seeing, the tools that they're interacting with, whether it's paper, or something that is familiar that they can feel grounded in before you go all out with completely new technology. The second element of human-centered design that I want to talk about is considering all the people. So of course, it's hard to think of everyone at all, but we can try to think of everyone that we can who are involved. In particular, I ask you to consider the questions, who are our sessions for? Is it for the organizers? Have we thought strictly from our perspectives, or are sessions for the participants? Are there ways that we can design events that honor the multiple identities of our community members? So for example, we've learned that many of our participants in our math teacher circles are parents. And right now that, well, they're also teachers. So they're teachers, they're parents, they're living in a pandemic, and they have a lot going on at home. So we try to, every time we're running an activity, find something with some family-friendly component. So I go back to our example of set. We had a few people tell us that after our set session, or even during, they might have just taken the game and they played with their, for example, nieces and nephews and their kids afterwards for a week. They just thought of it as a game, and it was a good way to engage their families while engaging the math themselves. In addition, I highly recommend looking up low floor, high ceiling problems or open middle problems. These are fantastic for these types of sessions. We also had to make a choice about synchronous versus asynchronous sessions. So in our case, we're actually not running an event this fall because we just had way too many people whose schedules didn't match up. And we thought about mailing some math kits out, but in our particular case, there were enough people who wanted a synchronous session to meet up, and just the timing didn't work out. So we're going to hold a larger event in the spring instead, rather than just trying to force it this fall. Lastly, another example is that we've been pairing with other existing resources. I mentioned at the beginning that we are a new math teacher circle, and although I've been working in the math teacher circle community a few years, the one I'm currently in is, well, new. We haven't really had the time to establish a lot of connections just yet, so we're partnering with the University of Tennessee's Center for Enhancing Education in Math and Sciences, or CEEMS, that's C-E-E-M-S, and a local elementary school in January or February to work on their family outreach events. And you might be thinking, well, you work with math teacher circles, and that sounds like the family events, so how do those tie together? We're going to try to borrow the ideas from our National Math Teacher Circle workshop over the summer, where we had teachers lounge events, and try to support the teachers and play that role of supporting teachers for things that they already have to be doing anyway. Lastly, for this part, the facilitator, as you see today, we have several people who are helping out. The facilitator might have a lot on their plate between facilitating math, looking at the chat window, looking at the screen, making sure everything's working, letting people into the room. So it's really, really helpful, I think, when you're considering all the people, to also consider if there are ways to have co-facilitators, have someone watch the technology while someone thinks about facilitating the math. And lastly, I want to talk about thinking about the entire system. So think of the context that we're living in. Right now, yes, we have a pandemic, we have a lot going on, and sometimes people are just tired right now. So we thought about some topics that might be relevant to everyone. And for example, maybe the pandemic. At the same time that we know some of our participants have lost family members due to COVID, and sometimes that's just a little too close to home. So it might not be the most appropriate topic. And people who are feeling lost aren't necessarily interested in playing a game right now. So we've been very upfront with what it is that we're talking about and trying to be flexible so that everyone can choose to join when they want to. So again, for example, our Prejudice Polygons event, that is about segregation. We tried to be very clear in our abstract and our advertising that everyone knew exactly what they were getting into before they participated. Lastly, I just wanted to add in that if we think about all of this and think of the system, what is the role that our math teacher circles or math circles program playing? And right now in this difficult year, hopefully we're able to provide supports for people in ways that they need right now. So when thinking about the entire system, it's really helpful to just survey your crowd and see what do they need? What can you help provide? Is it activities? Is it mailing out snacks? Is it whatever it is? Is it a way to help parents with their kids' math? Is it directly engaging the students? Depends on your local community. So just talk with them directly. All right, that's all I have. Any questions for me before we move on?
I should have shared that our goal is to take and have between each presenter 1 or 2 clarifying questions, and then at the end we will have a longer Q&A session available for to ask questions of the whole entire group, because as Anne shared, there is she has some overlap with other presenters that are presenting, and we might have different chances to hear different insight. So thank you very much, Anne, for that wonderful presentation. We can react if you wanted to, or rounds of applause. We just want to say thank you. That was really wonderful to hear. Our next presentation, I didn't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to double check one more time.
Will we be sharing presentation slides?
And it looks like Anne said yes. And
yes, I will be happy to just send them to you probably as the organizers. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker. Our next presentation is coming from Gord Hamilton of Math Pickle. Gord is going to take and talk to us about many mathematical universes. These are the best way to teach the scientific method when it comes to this presentation. You'll be playing the games collaboratively with everyone. Poke around like scientists and trying to discover the laws of the mini math universe you find yourself in. So I'm looking around. Gord, are we ready to go? I saw him earlier.
It says you're unmuted, Gord, but we can't hear you.
Thank you, Sloan.
You're welcome. Haha.
Okay, I'll use it with it.
That's perfect.
Okay, good. Welcome, my grade 2 class. It is really fun to see you out there. And I am supported by the Julia Robinson Mathematics Festival. And today we are going to be looking at a Portuguese man of war. And these are really scary creatures. My sister was stung with one of these, just a little bit of it, whenever she was swimming, whenever she was about 6 years old. And just that little bit, she was screaming. So yeah, these are scary things. And we're going to be exploring those today, my grade 2 class. And of course, as a mathematician, I don't really remember exactly what they look like, but it looks something like this. You guys have to figure out how these Portuguese men of war work. We're going to start with this lower one here. And whenever you get this circle, you can either poke it like a scientist, or you can guess what's inside. And if you guess right, that's good. If you guess wrong, not so good. But poking, it's just free. So I'm going to start with you, Emily. You can either poke it or you can guess what's in that circle.
I think we should poke it.
It's a 2. It's a 2. Next, this one here. Anne, go ahead. What do you want to poke it, or do you want to guess what's in there?
I'm also going to poke it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a 1. Ramya, what would you like to do? Would you like to poke it, or would you like to take a guess?
I want to take a guess. I'll guess 3.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Yay. Okay. Fred, do you want to guess what's in that, or do you want to poke it? You're muted, Fred.
Yeah, I'll poke that one.
Poke it. Okay. It's a 1. Tyler, this one, what do you think? Poke it or guess?
I'm gonna poke it.
It's a 2. Ruth, this one here. You're muted, Ruth. It's great to prove Anne's point here, isn't it?
Okay. Well, I was going to choose something for right above that 1 or 2, but you gave me that. And, you know, I'm going to guess 1.
And you're right. Yeah.
I did that by symmetry or something.
Yeah, or something. David, What do you want to do for that one?
I'll poke it.
Theodore,
I'll poke.
4. Sloan, you're muted.
My cursor was on the other screen. I'm going to guess 7.
And you're right.
Yay.
Yeah. So do you have some hypothesis, Sloan?
I think that this animal adds its lower tentacles together.
Yeah. So in a classroom, I would be writing this on the board. Hypothesis, Sloan's hypothesis. You add numbers. Peter.
I'm going to go for 3.
And you're right. You're right. Using Sloan's hypothesis. Yeah. Okay. I don't see your name, but you're dressed in black and you've got a gray V. Yes.
Oh yeah, Liana.
Yeah.
I would guess it was a 3.
Yeah, you're right.
Sloan's hypothesis.
Yeah. Javier. Javier.
Javier.
Javier. Sorry, Javier.
Very good. I am going to say that is a 4.
Okay, and you are wrong.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's the best.
Steve. Do you want to guess this one?
I'm not going to guess that one. Well, actually, I'll guess.
Wimp.
I was going to guess.
I tapped on the. Yeah. So you were going to be brave, and you were going to guess a 4, right?
I actually was.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know you were. I know. Fan. You're going to use Sloan's hypothesis, or are you going to branch out?
Okay, so that one's 5.
5. Yeah. Lauren. 1. Yes. So do you have some more hypotheses here? So Lauren, I'm guessing, has a hypothesis for what's going on.
I do.
Okay. What do you think?
I think that the numbers go from smaller to larger, left to right. And I think that the next level under the top level will be 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's got to be 1, 2, 3.
Right. So this for a grade 2 exercise, you can imagine the grade 2 kids have a bit more problems than you guys had to figure out what's going on. And the answer for this jellyfish is, of course, 22. And then they get their exercises, they go off and they figure it out. But the first part was inductive. And I go around every child in every class. And there's some beautiful aesthetics here as well. Okay, now I'm going to go to a different mini mathematical universe. Neil, you have to be quiet. Nancy, you have to be quiet. Everybody else, this is now for grade 6. And Hector, you get to either choose to poke on one of these circles, or you can just say, you can guess.
I can poke any one of them?
Yeah, we'll call this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and on. This is an infinitely long line. I've just organized them. I've just organized the first 16 elements like this.
Okay, so I want to poke number 6.
Number 6 is poked. It is that shape. Would you like to know the number?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. I think this is 32. Go. Stan.
Yes.
You get to poke anything you want, or you can guess anything you want.
Let's just poke 1, get the beginning.
Okay. 1 turns out just to be a circle. And if you poke it again, you get a 2. Okay. Brandy.
Can I poke the third one on the top?
Okay. And do you want to know the number?
Please.
8. And I can poke it again and reveal all of the numbers if you would like. I think you're interested in that. So
I'm very interested. There we go.
there we go. That's all of the numbers.
Thank you.
Emily.
Can I guess the second circle would be a 4?
Correct. So I'm going to give you 2 points for that. You got it. One point for guessing the shape. I should have got you to guess the shape too, but yeah, I'll give you that. Anne.
I'm gonna skip down and poke the 16th one.
Okay. Do you want me to tell you what the number is?
Sure.
256. And you can guess that that's what's behind it. Ramya. So right now, you guys would obviously conclude that they're all powers of 2, right? I think that's obvious, except that there's too many of them. Ramya, what do you want to do?
I'd like to go ahead and poke the 12th.
The 12th? This one here?
Yep.
There you go. That is the 12th.
Actually, isn't that the 13th?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, whatever. 13th, 12th. Yeah, this is approximately 12. Fred, go ahead.
Are you going to give us the information in number 13?
If you want me to.
I do.
Want to know it? There you go.
Oh, that's just, well, I'm going to be safe and go on the number 4 and call it 16.
4. It is 16, and I'm giving you 2 points for that. There we go. Tyler.
I want to poke the 5th one.
5th one. Okay, there you go. That's the 5th one. Do you want to take a guess at the number there, Tyler?
That's a good guess. I'm not sure.
Does anyone want to take a guess at this number? What the heck this would be?
Oh.
Ruth. Yeah, you're muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted. 24.
24
is wrong. It is 20.
Oh,
So
darn.
you're losing a point, Ruth. You're
I'd
now-
like to take a guess.
But Ruth, you can now choose anything you want.
Oh, all right. In that case,
So the purpose of this is not to actually to go through the whole thing. The purpose is to just demonstrate an inductive approach to teach. This is just one type of puzzle that I do, and we're not going to have time to finish it.
no.
But I want to leave you your appetite and just saying, oh, I want to know. I want to know. So,
I will choose. Nobody's chosen anything in the 3rd row.
yeah,
So
well,
why
someone
don't I-
did, and then I messed up. To be honest.
Well, why don't I do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How about 11?
11. Okay, there we go. That is 11.
May I ask you to poke the number?
Oh, sure. And you can guess the number. It's 128.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, interesting.
Brandy, are we set to terminate this? Do I have 2 minutes or not?
You can have 2 minutes.
Okay, so we're just going to stop here. I'll maybe leave you guys with a few more hints. There we go, just to have something to watch. So some of the techniques here is just to make sure that everyone's included, going around every single person. I do not have hands raised in my classroom because I do not want to rob the sense of success from a child who is a little bit slower than the others. So if a child gets the right answer, but before they got the right answer, everyone around them is me, that's already a failure. So I try to replicate that on Zoom by really focusing in on I'm in control. I'm asking everyone in turn to, or not in turn, sometimes I just shuffle it up to give an answer. For kids that are struggling, I make sure to ask them, like, what color would you like it? Like maybe one of these, I get them to, they have to choose a color. So this isn't just 160. Oh, they have to choose a color pink. And so that's a very important choice, of course. But it keeps it light for those kids who are a little bit stressed about the math, that they're also making decisions. They also get buy into the puzzle. If they're responsible for what's on the screen, that adds a little bit of pizzazz. Take care. Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you, Gord. Again, you can take and use Zoom to react. The reactions are down. Thank you, Anne, for pointing out that on a computer screen, they're going to be down on the bottom row. Or you can also just show other appreciation. If you have any questions for our speaker, like I said, we can take one or two and then go ahead and go from there.
Gord, do you have these available on Math Pickle?
The Portuguese Man of War, yes. This is called Integral Fission, the one that you just saw. I do not have it available in a way that is going to be able for you to come up with this inductive, but I have Integral Fission on there, and I have worksheets that sometimes I just give the kids right up front. So yeah, mixed answer. And we might be coming up with an app that allows this to be done. So that might be in the future.
Yeah. Gord, perhaps you can also mention about puzzle time and how you do some of these similar puzzles every day.
Yeah, so all weekdays, I am online at 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. Pacific, and I present puzzles or these inductive style explorations or board games. Every Friday is a new board game. So you will be able to find that on either mathpickle.com or JRMF.
May I? My son wants me to say something. My son is a regular with Gord, and he wants to say that he's great. He wanted me to, and it's true. I get a lot. He does a lot for me so that he can make it to puzzle time.
You can wave, James.
Can you wave? Yeah, he wanted to guess, and I said that we had an advantage on those puzzles. We've done it. Thank you, Gord.
Thank you so much, Gord, for that presentation and for sharing those resources. There is one more question, and then I'm going to go ahead and give us our next presenter. So are board games playable online, or do we need to get the physical games?
Yeah, these are all physical games. I'm a physical board game producer. My next game coming out is Santorini, New York, and that will be coming out next week. And so I believe in eye-to-eye contact with your kids, not going online and getting immersed. We do enough on online stuff.
Well, thank you once again, Gord. Our next set of presenters are Javier Ronquillo Rivera and Ramya Ramswamy. Both are from the Bridge to Entering Advanced Mathematics, or BEAM. And they are going to take and talk about creating a virtual BEAM community, a summer of math and memes. So a quick introduction: that BEAM's mission is to create pathways for underserved students to become scientists, mathematicians, engineers, and computer scientists. Every year, BEAM offers in-person summer programs for 6th and 7th grade students, where they engage in challenging and collaborative mathematics all while building a close-knit community. When BEAM made the decision to move summer 2020 programs online, the challenge became, can we do the deep and interactive mathematics we usually do with students and build a vibrant community in a virtual setting? So Javier and Ramya is going to take and present that for us. I'm going to stop my share so that the two of you can do that. Ramya, is that going to work?
Yep, I think Javier is sharing.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone here. Thanks to Gordon and Anne for sharing and starting us off. My name is Ramya Ramaswamy. I use the pronouns she, her, and I work at Bridge to Enter Advanced Mathematics, or BEAM. And I will be facilitating with Javier, who I'll let introduce himself as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Javier Ronquillo. I use pronouns he, him, his. I am also in the national team for BEAM, now full-time, but since 2015, I worked at BEAM as faculty, and it has been an awesome experience. I also have participated in some Julia Robinson festivals in Columbus and in Guatemala, and also in some math circles in Ohio and Guatemala and other places.
And today we'll be sharing about our virtual BEAM summer. We're calling it a summer of math and memes. And so you'll see one of our student created memes on that title slide, and you'll see that some more memes scattered throughout this presentation. So to jump in, like we mentioned at the beginning, doing deep and challenging math and building a tightly knit community is at the heart of BEAM's programming, and starts with our summer programs for middle schoolers. We've been running for 10 years and are really proud of what we do, but we've never run online programming. So when we were deciding whether or not to move online, our biggest question was, can we pull together a virtual program that embodies the magic of in-person? So to start off, we'll hear more from this summer's students about how their summer went.
I think that this program has really showed me a lot of things, not only math, but also knowing how to communicate and work together as a team. BEAM is the best thing that has happened this whole summer.
BEAM inspired me to follow my dreams and how math is way more important than you think. They also inspired me to speak up for myself. And one thing I achieved my own is solving harder problems that is challenging and hard.
I learned not to give up on hard problems and always try to persevere, even though it's very hard.
I now love math and I'm not afraid to attack challenging problems. People at BEAM helped me do this.
I think that the best part of BEAM was the people, because I was able to see how much math meant to other people, which showed me how much I love math.
What I enjoyed most about BEAM was the classes and activities. My favorite class was the power of numbers with Lisa, because we talk about multiplication, exponents, and we play math games to understand more about math.
Math isn't just adding, subtracting, etc. Yeah, that's part of it, but it's more than that, and BEAM really helped me realize that. And I'm glad I did, because it really helps me figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
So as you can see already, a lot of our students' personalities show up in their backgrounds. So with all the things that they like, and we'll keep talking about that.
So BEAM's mission is to create pathways for students from low-income and historically marginalized communities to enter STEM careers. And our programming does begin this summer after 6th grade with summer programs and continues with support through high school and college. BEAM serves students who are low income, low access, and ready for more challenging math. So to the right is a bit more data about our students. One piece that isn't shared here that could be valuable is that our summer sites generally have a 50-50 male-female identifying student split. So when planning for online programs, we took several considerations into mind. The first was balancing academics and non-academics. Beam in-person classrooms are collaborative, student-centered, inquiry-driven, and we wanted the class structures online to be the same. We also intentionally designed time for students to bond with each other and their college-age counselors who are often STEM majors and come from similar communities as the students themselves. And we wanted the program designed to acknowledge and account for the stress the pandemic has placed on students, staff, families. So we provided technology and financial support to alleviate participation barriers. So Beam provided computers, styluses, headsets for students to use and keep, as well as Visa gift cards for families to use for food or whatever direct need that they might have. We specifically purchased computers that were compatible with virtual backgrounds, since not all are. We wanted to make sure that students were able to engage with each other without that anxiety of sharing more of their homes than they wanted to. And we also provided training and resources for staff in online instruction, anti-racist resources, and trauma-informed training, as well as building a flexible schedule for that supported students and staff needs.
So when we went online, the students were doing about 3 to 5 hours of math each day. Something that is important to mention is that there is a wide range of classes that is taught at Beam. So also within those classes, a wide range of activities that had to be that had to transition online or be created for virtual purpose. In particular, faculty get to develop the classes that they want. If they are passionate about infinity, about Islamic geometric patterns, they can develop those classes. And also students get to hear about those classes and see which one they are interested in. With both faculty and students having a choice, there is a lot of buy-in and students get to enjoy it a lot. So you can see some of the pictures from this summer. In the corner, there's some circuits class. Here is on, in the next one is some students are discovering in finance plane in finance geometry class. And just like that, there are many, many, many activities. So in particular, we're going to share a Jamboard with you. We don't have time to go in depth into the activity, but it's one of my favorite activities that to do with the 6th graders or the 7th graders, because we have 2 summer programs. What I like about that activity is that it can lead to discussion about place value, combinatorics, and other important things like questioning what you have learned and giving students the power to decide and the voice to decide. So we'll share that in the chat with all of you. By the way, that's only a description of the activity, not the Jamboard that I use in the activity itself. So what are some of the reflections that we have for this summer? One that is very important, that was very important for us, is that students' participation looked different. For example, there is a story, and there are many of these stories, where students engage through chat, and maybe they didn't have their mics or camera on. We never made them have them on. We just helped them and empowered them to know that what they had to say was very important. So for example, in this case, even if a student was not with their cameras on or microphones, they still asked a lot of questions, made jokes, memes, and all was about the math. So that is not to say that there were no challenges, because a lot of the time, circumstances around the students' environment or the faculty environment created some distraction, and it could be difficult. But we were really mindful about talking to each other in meetings of faculty about how we could help our students participate more. And in particular, encourage them to do so and find different ways. We sometimes were successful, sometimes we were not. But something also very important about this summer is that we invested a lot in community. And a reflection that ended up coming out at the summer is that people wanted to invest even more. So the community building helped a lot because it helped us to get to know the students. For example, in this story, they are talking about a student who was a leader in their breakout rooms that always engaged other people, asked questions, helped people that were having problems with technology. So by getting to know each other and getting to see students' personalities, that also enhances the mathematical learning and the problem solving and critical thinking that we want on them.
So like Javier was saying, Beam invests a lot in building community because we know that strong communities build strong identities, and especially when a strong mathematical identity is important for students who may be entering spaces where they will be minorities in their STEM field. So Beam invested a few different ways in building that community. First, we ran non-academic virtual activities. So two of our most popular activities this summer were learning origami and learning American Sign Language, which not only naturally encourage students to turn on their cameras, but help students bond over the shared experience of learning a new skill. And so we recommend polling students about their interests and ideas to gather ideas for virtual activities. Second, we started and ended days with small group counselor-led community building. So counselors led small group conversations on topics like icebreakers, famous mathematicians, and just created a space for students to chat and catch up. And last, we used a chat platform called Zulip to build a student-driven online community. Zulip works similar to other chat interfaces by allowing users to create topic-based channels, use emojis to react, etc. And on our end, Zulip allows for chats to be stored locally, so making sure we're keeping our students safe. So students made channels about sports, cool math problems and riddles, and as you can see, by far the most popular, a channel for memes. This just really let us see our students' personalities shine and offered a casual way for them to interact with staff and each other.
So one of the fun things about Zulip is that we got to see our students' games and our student dreams. For example, this is a quote from a staff member about a student. I don't know anyone more dedicated to rickrolling folks on Zoom. And as you can see, they had dreams about rickrolling big audiences. So the students' personalities were very important for us and see their identities shine at our program. So let me just show you a quick video to honor those identities. I should say to honor some of our students' dreams.
Oh man, gets me every time. Just to close out, we want to ask you or give you some time to mentally think about a question we ask our students at the end of every summer. How would you describe math in 3 words? You're welcome to type it in the chat if you would like, but we will go ahead and share some of the answers from students. So as you can see here, we have diverse, tangible, complex, trial and error, and so freaking amazing. So Beam's online summer, to conclude, was like one student described math, a lot of trial and error. But we had many moments of mathematical discovery as well as community built in surprising ways. So thank you so much. If you have questions, we'd love to hear them. You're also welcome to email them to us or read more about Beam in the New York Times or check us out on social media.
So thank you very much. Again, you can react by using the clapping emoji or give a round of applause to our presenters. I did see that we have, I'm sorry.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! we did have a question at the start of your presentation as you were describing all the wonderful ways that you were setting up the students for success in building this community. Ted Alpert asked, were there any issues in high-speed internet access?
Yeah, I can answer it, and Javier, feel free to add on. So something that we did not mention here, but that we did was we provided all students with either a hotspot or checked directly on their broadband access and either paid bills or upgraded their internet speed for them. We were lucky to be able to move around our budget in a way that initially we provide transportation, we provide food, and we're able to redirect a lot to making sure internet access was there. But of course, there were internet issues, and that continued throughout the program, no matter how much front-end preparation we were able to do.
Beam also had created a website that helped the students navigate the different classrooms and the different places where they had to go. And also we had a line that they could call or text. And Zulip, the chat platform, was used also to try to help the students resolve any of their technology issues. So it was something that we thought a lot about, and we were prepared, but still we ran into those issues.
Thank you. One more question that we had, is it possible to learn more about your anti-racist teacher training?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to send some more resources to the organizers to share out. Something unique that we did was offer several different books to faculty and staffs, some of them being How to Be Anti-Racist, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and offered to buy them for staff based on their interest and which ones they hadn't read yet. So again, offering faculty choice and letting that dictate interest.
Thank you. There was another.
Just also acknowledge that as we all are, we are still growing in that aspect. So we have some resources, but also if anyone else has resources to share, please do it in the chat so that we all can see them.
I was going to say, I think that would also be a great question for us at the end of the presentation, because I've heard from several of the people that I see on the call that can also share more resources. So thank you. Thank you. For time's sake, because I know that our panelists have other questions or other commitments as well today. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next speaker, but we will have time at the end to, again, bring questions back to the whole entire group. So thank you once again to Javier and Ramia. I keep on trying to add an A instead of a U, sorry. Okay, and now I've shut down everything. My apologies. So, nope, we can't, nope. It was all running, and then we let Brandy have the PowerPoint. That was our whole mistake. Okay, so our last presentation, and again, we'll have question and answers, is from Sloan Desro from the North Carolina Network of Math Teacher Circles and NCNMTC. Sloan is going to talk about T-shirts, Zumba, and Desmos, a way to reach out to the teachers in North Carolina and beyond. In this talk, she's going to talk about reaching out to the network of math teacher circles in North Carolina during the pandemic. Instead of the annual math camp for teachers, they joined with Math Teacher Circle under the umbrella of AIM's Math Teacher Circle online workshop in July. They loved connecting with others in the country and implementing several strategies for keeping connected with North Carolina Math Teacher Circle, math teachers. And so Sloan, if you are ready.
Hi, everybody. Here we go. Did I share the right thing? Yay. I've learned it's always good to check. Okay, so it's so great to see all of you today. And so I'm with the North Carolina Network of Math Teacher Circles, and I'm also at Western Carolina University in North Carolina. And our network has hosted summer immersion experiences. We call it Math Camp. And we've done that for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. We host it in the town where I live, Cullowhee, North Carolina, in the mountains. And it's really beautiful. And we enjoy doing a lot of math, but also a lot of outdoor things based on the setting. And we eat really good food, and it's just a highlight. And so this summer, when we realized that meeting in person wasn't going to be a possibility, we really didn't want to just punt. We wanted to do something meaningful for our circle. And I've often, so I have an analogy. During this pandemic, I think it's really important to leverage the things that work well, and the things that don't work well, don't try to make fat-free mayonnaise. You know, I mean, it's just not worth it. It doesn't taste good. Just go eat an avocado, right? So we really, when we thought about what to do this summer, we tried to leverage what worked well, really lean into that, and the other things, just let them go for now. So I don't know if you can tell, but the t-shirt is a big deal for Math Camp. I mean, it's a really big deal. We spend a lot of time with our leadership team focusing on how soft the fabric is, and what the design will be, and just how it's going to be. Swag is important, right? And so you got to have a soft shirt. So that was something we could do this year. So our leadership team, they jumped on that. They were really excited to design the one where we stayed at home. That was our shirt. Here it is right here. It's very soft, and can tell you. So like super nice. Yeah. So, and we shipped that out to everyone that registered in North Carolina, that registered for our summer camp, with a little note of encouragement. And I just really think, I noticed with Ramya and Javier's talk, that they had sent everyone children of blood and bone, right? I think that like having a shared physical object that you can all see on the Zoom, I think that's really cool, and just makes you feel connected. So whatever swag thing that might be, but bringing the physical into this two-dimensional kind of universe that we live in, I think that's really important, and it can be just fun. It doesn't have to be serious. It can be just fun. So we did do that. That was very successful. We got a local business to do it, and they were very happy to do that too. So we also got to support some local business. They shipped out every shirt because they were so excited to have the business. So that worked great for us too. So another way we can lean into things that work really well now is we can all travel, at a click of a button. We all got our travel machine, like in Star Trek, right? We have to do it through Zoom, but we can travel, right? We can bring people from all over the country with all sorts of crazy different time zones, right? We can bring them all together. And so that's what we sought to do. So I worked with Anne, with my colleague Nathan Borshout, with Chris Bolognese, and several others, and with Brianna Donaldson at AIM. And we came up with an online workshop this summer for circles all over the country. And I really wanted it to have some of the things we enjoyed our Math Camp, like well, and again, our Beam talk talked about non-academic virtual activities. That's important for kids, but that's also important for teachers, because as Anne said, they're really tired right now, right? And so doing something for them, a little pamper, a little time for them, even if it's not strictly mathematical, that's great. So we decided exercise is always really important at our face-to-face Math Camp. And so we did Zumba and we did yoga during the week. And that was great. Some of the folks that did Zumba that week are still doing Zumba with me. So that's really awesome. It was really cool that I got to meet new Zumba friends that way. We made time to get folks oriented to the technology because we used Remo, which was unfamiliar for a lot of people. And then we had, I guess, sort of depending on your time zone, morning and afternoon sessions, like a traditional math teacher circle session. But then we had teachers lounge, where we would talk about, have panels that were on relevant topics of the day, or we would things like how to use Desmos, workshop type things like that for tools. But then we also had a social circle or happy hour, right? Because again, the non-academic activities were important as well. After all, we want to build community, right? So on Wednesday of the week, we had it was local Wednesday. So there was national programming, but you could also have local programming. So we brought in a couple of our facilitators who had been at previous camps. And again, that's more of the familiarity from when things were three-dimensional, right? So Judith Covington came in the morning and did a very cool Unifix cube activity with prime number decompositions. And then used an online, there's a Unifix, an online Unifix website. And now I use that teaching my class. I teach a math for elementary teachers class, but tying in with what Ann said, my son's very colorblind. And I had him just, walk behind me and I said, what does that look like? And he says, brown. So you really have to be very aware of those things. We talk about that a lot, but this was a great activity. You can see we were all in our shirts. We had a good time doing that. We had two kind of local facilitators that day. And then during our social hour time on that local Wednesday, we planned out the rest of our year. Again, leaning in. So just could we have had fall programming this fall with just my local Cullowhee circle? I don't think so. I mean, they are tired. It's a lot. So what we decided is we took all the circles in North Carolina and we're doing programming for all the circles. And each circle is taking a turn at hosting. Okay, so that's working well. Let me not get ahead of myself. Just a shout out to Chris. His work, he gave a teacher lounge workshop on Desmos that Wednesday, and my experience learning from him with Desmos has completely changed the way I'm teaching this semester. Completely. Everything I do now, I looked at slides from a talk that Ann and I did this summer, and in July I said I'm going to do videos one day of the week. That's gone. I don't do any more videos. It is all Desmos with 2-minute commercial breaks with me. It is all that, and it's just changed everything I do. I now go into the computational layer. I just love it. It's great. So I learned so much, and it's, I think, made me more effective as a teacher. So this fall, these are the two workshops. By the way, the one on November 7th hasn't happened yet, so you're welcome to come if you want to. We devoted our fall workshops on relevant topics. Like Ann said, we were very upfront about what the topics were, but we had so a group from they work with Moon Duchin, and they came from Tufts, and they talked about fighting gerrymandering with math. And so what was our attendance? I think we had about 25. So again, that's the whole state. And I think we just have to treat this whole time right now with a lot of grace. And just combining circles, I felt like 25 was a win. I really felt like that was a win. we are going to talk about math modeling and pool blood testing, like I said, on November 7th, and you're welcome to come. And Maria is from North Carolina, but the group from Tufts obviously weren't, and they were able to just Zoom in. It was really, really wonderful. So that's, I think I've gone past my time. That's about all I need to say, but I'm happy to answer questions too.
Well, thank you to our speaker. We see several comments of others that had a chance to take and participate in your sessions, and they say just that they were amazing. The gerrymandering session was specifically called out by Lauren for being great. Do any of our audience members have any questions specific to Sloan? Okay.
Oh, actually, can I just say something really quick?
Sure.
So, first of all, yeah, it was a fabulous session, and I think there's been a lot of connections starting with the math teacher circles. I gave a talk for a teacher circle in Louisiana, and I think that during this COVID time, being able to connect with each other, I don't know if there's a general place to look. Like, I just found out about this earlier today. Since we have so many opportunities online, it'd be cool if someone wanted to keep a calendar. It's a lot of work, I guess, but maybe we could make a calendar that that people can just add to. Is that too crazy of an idea?
I believe that Math Communities is trying to do that. So that is the AIM new project. And so we were able to send this event out through the Math Communities newsletter. And I believe that they've been collecting and putting together a calendar of events through them. So I will, yeah, and just put it in the chat. So, and Sloan shared the links for the specific one that coming up in November. So we'll have that, but Lauren, I agree that it's a great idea. We also have been trying to share on occasion through the Sigma math circles for students and teachers. But again, I think Math Communities has a broader reach to a broader set of audience members through their free newsletter that goes out every week. And Sloan's shared their specific network, the North Carolina networks with the calendar. So thank you, Sloan. Great idea, Lauren. What we want to take and try to do to build off of this is to keep thinking about how we can take and bring together all of the wonderful information that is being shared by these presenters and by others that are out there doing math circles and math circle related work in the time of physical distancing. If you know people that are doing problem solving and building community while also sharing mathematical content, we think that we should all be sharing these resources. And so we would like to bring up that the Journal of Math Circles wanted to take and organize today's session specifically because we want to take and create a special issue that will take and bring together some of these best suggestions that we heard today. So the first way that we're going to be sharing it is that Julia Robinson's going to share this webinar online. And I've also tried to take and make a list of all of the resources that were shared today that we will be able to add to that. And our presenters have shared that they will also try to get that. So we'll put it all on one page and share it back out through our communities that Lauren just helped us think about that list of. But in regards to creating a longer term archive, the Journal of Math Circles has been trying to do special issues every year or two. Our first special issue was around the Global Math Project and looking internationally about all of the different ways that people have been doing math circle type work around the world around the topic of math, the Global Math Project and exploding dots. And now we're hoping to take and have a special issue all around specifically how to take and do math circles in this time of physical distancing. So we are hoping to have all of the presenters today write an article and to keep building on that and be able to share those resources. But we wanted to get it to you faster than an article is going to get published. The article will probably be out by next Math Fest, but hopefully earlier. But we're just honest. That's sort of what our timeline is looking like for that. We also want to acknowledge the fact that Julie Robinson was crucial to putting together all of the webinar resources, the registering, the helping us record this today. Especially thank you to Hector Rosero for his work in helping us get this the publicity around all of this out there. So thank you very much, Hector. And with that, we have about 10 minutes. Some of our speakers do have to go, so we acknowledge that and thank our speakers once again for your presentations for today. And for anyone that's able to say, we do have some questions, or we can take questions from the audience. The chat's building up, so. Anybody have any specific questions for our speakers? Go for it, Natalia.
Sorry, I pressed enter before finishing the question. So I really like the metaphor and the other question. And I like the idea of giving everybody time to think. My question is just imagining a room full of kids where some do get stuff a lot quicker. So I have some kids that see the whole pattern before I would see it. And, you know, I think I'm reasonably speedy when it comes to seeing patterns. What do you do for that, or if anything?
So breakout rooms are an obvious solution if you have more than one person there. If it's just you by yourself, number one, you have to accept that teaching online will never, it's just not going to be as good as being right present in a classroom and seeing a child's facial expressions. It's like teaching through a veil. So, how are we going to approach those kids as the class gets larger and larger? Let's say you have 25 kids and you've got 3 of them that are fast. I don't have a great solution. One solution is to give them an activity and say, go off by yourselves and come back next week and come 10 minutes before, and we'll see what you guys have discovered. So that's just one idea.
Thank you, that helped.
Well, that ties well into sort of problem solving as we're doing and transitioning online. Is sort of, I guess, where I would post our first question to any presenters that are able to address it. What do you think has been the most difficult part of transitioning online, or what, like, related to that is, what is the most notable lesson that you've learned with transitioning online? I think we've heard a lot about the success. What's some of the problem solving process that went into building up for that success?
Brandy, do you mean with math circles and math teacher circles, or our own teaching?
Oh, I did mean with math circles and math teacher circles. I think we could have a whole entire different panel on our teaching. I think probably MAA is going to be busy for the year doing that for some of our college K-12 classrooms. But
I would just say our biggest problem was people attending. You know, I mean, there's just a lot of fatigue. And it's just, and I think Anne touched on that as well. It's just, you know, if folks signing up for things and then they can't come. I think the day before our local day, that Wednesday in the summer, the local district finally decided how school was going to work for the fall. Like the day before, and almost all of our teachers had to be in, you know, department meetings. So it's just rough. It's rough to to get good attendance.
Yeah, I just want to second that. The biggest, I just started a program for 4th to 9th grade girls. And the first session, we had 60 people sign up, but only 20 something showed. So this idea of if you have a program for free, how do you deal with that when you're planning breakout rooms and, you know, you're just planning an event and you don't know who's showing up? And does anyone charge for their sessions?
I've been involved in like an AP statistics review for like the couple counties nearby, and we wanted to put it on for free. We've been doing it for several years, but we charge, and this was an in-person thing, but we ended up charging $5. We give away pizza. We actually got the money for the pizza as well. But it turned out when we charged even a nominal amount, I would bet if you charged $1, you know, or $2, you might get a higher
yeah, except that online, when you're doing it online, then they have to pay with a credit card and you might get fewer people because it's more complicated.
I understand all the issues of equity and all that is involved. It's tough, but we just ended up more predictable. I'm just saying we tried to charge something we thought anybody could handle, but
we in our math teachers, my math teacher circle, we got, once we started charging because our grant ran out, we got way fewer. And we didn't charge very much.
Right.
What about having small prices? I think that seems to be helping us, but we deal with students, not with the maths circle for teachers.
One thing I've seen work, not in math workshops, but other situations, is a very nominal charge, like $5 or $1 even, that's refundable if you show up. Makes things more complicated. And there are many ways to pay. You know, there's Venmo and a whole bunch of other ways. But what you wind up is, you may wind up with a reduced number of signups, but a much higher percentage of participation. So it all depends on what you want, signups or participation.
And I think in a lot of ways, some of these are definitely solutions that have helped during the pre-COVID times. There's times that we used to travel on airplanes and get to touch people physically. I also wonder though, as we're talking specifically about this year, some of the suggestions that I saw is texting people to confirm closer to time. And we heard the prizes and a sliding scale for the classes to get the exact attendance. And also possibly with the idea of charging with financial aid. So just, I want to acknowledge that there was some suggestions in the chat related to that.
May I say something?
Yes.
Yeah, I think one of the, I know that you're talking about specifically math teacher circles and different things, but I think one of the important things that we learned this year at BEAM is the idea that we have some resources for do this mathematics, whether with teachers or with students in our case. Where do we decide those resources go? And a lesson that we learned, I think in general, we might be prone to say, oh, it has to go to the math, to the delivery of the mathematics, to all these things that we are used to doing, right? Because we care about the mathematics. But in our case, it was very important that some of those resources went to acknowledge the circumstances of our families. The students, some students, some families, BEAM had some emergency fund to help some families. It also provided technology. It also, and I know that resources are scarce in general, but I think this is a moment to at least ask the questions: how are we dividing those resources and why? And I think more has to go towards the circumstances surrounding what we are experiencing today.
Thank you so much for sharing that and building out our conversation to acknowledge that. That was very helpful. Javier, I just realized that I should have been also watching for raised hands. Was that the comment that you raised your hand for? Okay, I apologize. Natalia Yufka? You would raise your hand?
Oh, sorry. I typed in my question into chat. It's for Ramya and Javier. I think
Okay.
you asked before, but now maybe there's a minute or two for them to answer. Like if you were to tell your teachers 2-3 things super key for making their teaching be anti-racist, what would you say?
So again, I think this is a subject where we are all growing. I don't know if I can adventure like the 2 or 3 things specifically, but I'll tell you what some of the things that we did at Beam and some of the things that we are thinking about. First one is at Beam, our students, I don't know if you saw the demographics, but our students are a diverse group of students. We have students of color, we have Black students, Latinx. We have a lot of the demographics represented. So one of the key things that I think happens at Beam in the regular programming when we are in person and we are in the camps, and that was the challenge for us this year, was that we want to hear students' voices, and we want to leave room for them to be themselves. Like during the program, we got to hear, we get to talk to students, hear about what they want, about life, you know, in general, and we are there to listen. And we tell them that they are welcome, and we encourage them to advocate for themselves. So if there's something that we don't that they don't like, that they don't that they want change, they can advocate, and we listen, because that's part of what we are doing. We are trying to empower them and to grow to be critical thinkers. So that's one way. Just listen to your students. Students at Beam are well aware of issues of race, gender, and many of them might be at different stages of understanding of that, but they understand, they know. So acknowledge that too. Acknowledge that the students know those things. I think that's one of the ways of doing that. Ramya, I don't know if you want to add something else.
Sure. I guess the second piece that I would add is we focus really deeply on our faculty and counselor hiring. It's really important to us that our faculty and counselors are either from communities of the students that we serve, or familiar with or have experience teaching in the communities that we serve. And making sure that awareness and experience is there is important, especially for those counselors who have so much like near peer relationship with students, and are that like direct role model for so many hours of the program.
Thank you, that was really helpful.
Thank you so much. Well, we are close to the end of the time. Is there any further questions from our audience? Oh, David. I just missed it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Did you want me to ask it, or did you want to?
Yeah, go for it, David.
Yeah, so I was just curious specifically for Ramya and Javier. I was curious about what the structure of your classes looked like. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's like a bunch of, you know, because I had a bunch of questions here, but yeah, like I guess I'm assuming you use breakout rooms, but like I guess, you know, I don't, or maybe your classes were small enough that you didn't have breakout rooms, but yeah, if so, how many students did you have per breakout room? Did you have an instructor in each room? And in particular, sort of, I guess like the bigger question is like, yeah, like what did student exploration look like in the classes? So I was just kind of curious about that.
So I think the short answer is it looked differently for different faculty because they're like at least what 20, 30, but I don't have the number right now. I'm blanking, but there are a lot of faculty. So I'll tell you, some faculty use just like Zoom and the board, and that's where they did their inquiry. They posted the problems. In the classrooms, faculty do have TAs, so there is usually 2 people, sometimes even 3, depending on the number. And the classes are not that big. The classes are 10 to 15 students max. So it's a ratio that is very, very in favor of faculty and staff. So a lot of the time, what faculty did is they prepare some slides or questions ahead of time, discuss them with their TAs, and then they would go into the breakout rooms, maybe have an exploration beforehand, have a small discussion to set it up, go into the breakout rooms. Each of them would guide the questions, or have a class kick or similar common board. Common board was like a common board, whiteboard for students in groups or for the class, was used all from Google Sheets, Google Drive, Google Docs, ClassKick, Desmos. So you can imagine all the different, because some of the faculty taught things like very geometric, so they had to use certain tools. Other people taught, for example, voting theory and some gerrymandering, and they had to have Google drawings for that. So I think for us it was super great in the sense that we learned a lot. Faculty were able to adjust many of the activities that they do in person with Thread and people to Desmos or to other softwares. So I hope that gives you an idea.
Thank you, Javier. That was super helpful. David, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, David.
Oh, well, I was just saying thanks. But I guess, well, one thing, I guess, one quick follow-up. I mean, I think I can kind of infer from what you said, but it sounds like the way you did it is like, it's very like collaborative, right? It's like, like you sort of, whatever group of students you have, they're all kind of doing a thing together rather than them going off on their own and doing their own thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it depends on faculty and it depends on what they are doing. But yes, definitely, in general, Beam's math is always very collaborative. The picture of the math circles where people are just gathered around things. That is what happens in the Beam's classrooms. And yes, a lot of the time, people went into breakout rooms, had discussions, did the math together, came back together and had a general discussion. But sometimes I know some faculty that did give some time for students to have individual moments of thought and then sharing. But yeah, I think the objective at the end was to come back and share and explore together.
And Ramya shared in the comments, the chat, that they have short videos or recorded classes that they'll ask permission to take and see if they can share and send. One of the advantages of the Journal of Math Circles being online is that we do have an online component for videos. We can incorporate videos into the presentations as well. And I was so excited to see some of those pictures that we can see included in the articles. There's no page limits, there's no color limits. It's all free to publish in our journal. So all of that's going to be a great addition. I can't even wait. I'm so excited. This is going to be a great article. I do want to respect everyone's time. We did say that we would end at what is our 11:30, and we already know that I can't do arithmetic to figure out what time it is on the East Coast, so I'm not even going to guess. But I thank you all so much for joining us. And if you have further questions, we will, as I said, keep posting these resources online. And just thank you so much. Thank you so much to our presenters.